Yeah.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Monday, October 23rd, 2023 to order. And I ask all who have not signed in, please do so. Please turn off any cell phones or other electronic devices. Please conduct any private conversations in the hallway or outside. This meeting room is equipped with an inductive loop hearing assistance system. You'll be able to hear conversations through the microphone on hearing aids with a T-switch. Emergency exits can be found on your right and to your left. And please also note this meeting is also live streamed via YouTube with text commenting available. At this time, if you please join us in a salute to the flag. Okay, before we have 4 public hearings, and before we get into that, I'd like to, a couple of meeting announcements. We have 7 employees celebrating birthdays in the month of November, and I want to recognize, starting with, on Veterans Day, our highway superintendent will be celebrating a birthday. Ken Wilson on the 13th, Marlene Mernon on the 15th, Jeff Rader on the 24th, Peg Bulow on the 29th, and Dave Knapp on the 30th. The next town board meeting will be an in-person meeting. This will be on Monday. The next town board meeting in person is Monday, the November 27th. The first meeting in both November and December will be to pay bills only. I do want to announce that though our intention to pay bills only, we will probably have 2 exceptions for the meeting on November the 13th, 2 resolutions that have to do with town energy, which will need your town board's consideration to act on. Both are time sensitive. Reminder that early voting will start this coming October 28th, and then on Sunday, November the 5th. Election day is Tuesday, November the 7th from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the Veterans Day Appreciation Luncheon is from 12 to 2 p.m. here in the main meeting room on Thursday, November the 9th. All town departments will be closed on Friday, November 10th in observance of Veterans Day. And Saturday, November 11th at 11 a.m., the American Legion, Post 931, will have a Veterans Day ceremony here in this room, followed by the Blue Star Marker dedication hosted by the Victor Garden Club. At this time, moving to the public hearing, we'll ask the town clerk to please read public hearing notice number 1.
A notice for the public hearing for the local laws to amend Chapter 211 zoning to establish the Commercial Center, CC, zoning district to designate the Eastview Mall site as being within a CC zoning district, scheduled for the 23rd day of October at 7 p.m. in the Victor Town Hall, was published in the Daily Messenger newspaper on October 13th, and also posted on the signboard at the Town Hall and the Victor Village Hall, and also on our website.
Thank you, Karen. And before we take any public comment, I'm going to ask Wes Petty from Labella Associates, one of our town engineers, to come to the podium and just give an overview for the public as well as a reminder to the town board members.
Thank you, Supervisor Marion. Wes Petty from Labella Associates. Happy to be here this evening. Last week, we had a planning board meeting here at the town, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I can't remember now, where the town board had referred this draft local law to the planning board for comment and recommendation. So when we talked about this draft rezoning, what we understand, what the planning board understood was that what is happening, or what would be happening with this legislation, is the town would create a brand-new zoning district, and that affords a little bit different, some different dimensional capacities than what is offered in the commercial zoning district today. And the main reason that the town is, one of the main reasons the town is considering this is that the commercial zoning district that you find in the town of Victor today, you have the same regulations for parcels of land that might be 1 acre in size or that might be 50 acres in size. And the varied characteristics of these neighborhoods is different, right? So if you look at the Eastview Mall site, that's a very different neighborhood and community fabric than where you see a commercial zoning district, maybe south on 96, south and east of the village. So one of the main differences in the new commercial center zoning district is that as it's drafted today, the district would allow buildings to be up to 6 stories or 90 feet, whereas today the classic commercial zoning district allows for 35 feet as a maximum height. So there's some other dimensional characteristics that differ as well. I won't get into the details of that, but what I will convey is that the planning board, their response was highly varied, and there were some comments made from board members that were somewhat opposed to just flat out allowing a 6-story building just as of right, versus maybe looking at another strategy where the town could implement maybe the planned unit development or planned development district, the PDD process as it is already in the code today. And I think we could also identify some strategies to maybe, maybe it's lowering the maximum height, maybe 5 stories or 80 feet. But I think it maybe takes, it warrants the town board taking some additional consideration for other strategies to implement, trying to make the Eastview Mall site a viable site for development going forward. Since we're not sure if the mall of yesterday and the mall of today is going to be fully functional, and the mall of tomorrow. So with that, I just wanted to let you know there was some varied feedback. There were some that felt that a zoning change is likely warranted to some degree, and maybe it is exactly the way it is drafted today. But I'd be happy to examine that with town staff a little bit more, and also listen to what the public has had to say. Any questions for me?
Wes, thank you for providing that, and I know the planning board gave some great feedback from a number of their members, and the county planning board also had a response.
Yeah, there were some comments that I saw back from the county. I'm not sure if they were staff responses or if it was the actual county planning board. But all right.
Any questions for Wes before we? Okay. Thank you, Wes.
All right.
At this time, we'll entertain any public comment to speak for or against this change. Can I ask if there's any members of the public care to speak for or against? Okay. Board members, I think what I would like to do is keep this open, and some of the comments, and actually, Councilman Cusimano, you did a very good job. I know a number of your comments were on page 7 of the comments from the planning board. Mr. Galena and Joe Logan had some very good ones. Al on page 7, and then Joe Logan on page 9. One of the points they made would be, what is again, Wilmerite, they own Eastview Mall proper. They don't own all the large anchor stores, Macy's, Von Maur, Dick's, etc. But like to have an opportunity to sit with them and see if they have any plans at this point, And, but the other thing would be to really have our engineer take a look and maybe give us some type of renderings. What would 5 stories, what would 6 stories look like from Route 96? So unless you have any objections, my intent would be to keep this public hearing open and reconvene at some later date.
No objections.
Nope, no objections.
Okay. We'll move to public hearing number 2, which was held open from the last time we met. Yeah, why don't you please do that?
Notice of public hearing, proposed local law for the rezoning application of 7200 Rossin Road requesting light industrial to planned development district. Scheduled for the 25th day of September 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Victor Town Hall, was published and posted in the Daily Messenger newspaper on September 17th, and a copy also posted on the signboard of the Town Hall, the Victor Village Hall, and our website. Written comments also were taken.
Thank you, Karen. Mr. Vars, you're right on, and go ahead, proceed, sir.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Peter Vars with BME Associates, appearing on behalf of Rossin Community LLC. What I just wanted to do this evening was just take a few moments just to update you on the progress we've made, the work that we've done since our last appearance before this board 1 month ago, back on September 25th. At that public hearing, we received comments from the board and the public, and the applicant in turn reviewed those comments, and we would like to go over proposed updates and revisions to the plan based on that input. It resulted, the comments and whatnot that we received centered on certain issues: the number of units proposed, access and traffic, buffers and setback off Rossin Road, and green space. The result of this is we did submit to you an updated concept plan that we believe addresses these issues, and I don't know if we'll get it up on the screen. But I guess we'll wait. There we go.
Rich, maybe we ought to consider that town energy resolutions much sooner.
Yeah. You see it? Peter, if you want to,
Yeah.
continue, I mean, I think most of the people here were here before, so they
Yes.
will probably be aware of the changes. And I've got a sketch plan that I'm happy to pass around so people can take a
Okay.
look at it, too.
All right, thank you. So what the proposed revision is we are proposing a project now that results in 59 units. It's a reduction of 10 units from the original proposed plan. That 10-unit reduction is a 15% reduction in the project density. That reduction was achieved in 2 primary areas. First and foremost, if you recall, we had proposed 8 detached lots up at the western end of the property on its own private drive. Though that complete private drive and 8 lots have been eliminated from the plan. We originally had, at the eastern end of the site, proposed 61 townhome units. That has been reduced by 2 units, such that it is a 59 for-sale townhome component. That reduction of the townhouse units also results in the fact that there are no longer any 5-unit blocks proposed. So we now have a 59 unit for sale townhouse project proposed. In doing this, it reduces the density within the 18.5 acres of the residential component of this project to a density of 3.2 units per acre. The original plan had called for 3.7 units per acre. One thing I'd like to point out that at the 3.2 units per acre, that's actually 1/3 of the allowable density if we were to do this as a traditional multi-dwelling zoning district, which allows up to 10 units per acre. By reducing this density and eliminating lots at the western end, we were also able, in our opinion, to improve the layout and address specific concerns that board members and the public had about certain aspects of the layout. First of all, as we've mentioned, we've eliminated, thank you, Jeff, we've eliminated the detached homes at the western end, and as such, no longer are proposing an access to Rawson Road at that western edge of this, or at the western end of the property, addressing concerns we had heard about possible site distance issues of eastbound traffic coming over the top of the hill. By also reducing density, the green space within the 18.5 acre residential component of the project now goes up to over 70% of the project area. The original plan within that 18.5 acres was at 55%. So we've seen a dynamic increase in the amount of green space to be saved. By also reducing density, and I'm going to use the word compressing, the townhouse development, we were able to increase the setback off Rawson Road, such that the units, the two pairs of units on Road A, which is the easternmost unit, and then the eastern units on Road B, will be set back 60 feet off the right-of-way of Rawson Road, which equates to 75 feet off of the edge of pavement of the shoulder. Another important thing that resulted with this revised plan is the residential component of this property occupies about 1,600 lineal feet of frontage along Rawson Road. Through the removal of the lots at the western end and also increasing the setback off Rawson Road of the units we are proposing, we're able to retain 1,200 feet of the existing vegetated frontage. 75% of that road frontage, as it is today, its vegetation will remain. And that includes, importantly, the stream corridor and the wetland area. Within the developed area, the area to be developed along that 450 feet of frontage where the development will occupy frontage, we have added 250 lineal feet of sidewalk along the north side of Rawson Road, which basically provides a pedestrian connection between the two proposed private roads within the development. Why this sidewalk is important is it achieves a couple of things. It will create a continuous pedestrian circuit through the development, while also connecting to the existing Rawson Road sidewalk that's located on the south side of Rawson Road, but also through that connection to the Rawson Road sidewalk on the south side provides a route from Rawson Road through the property to the Auburn Trail to the north side. In addition to these layout revisions, there's been a few other things that have occurred in the past month that we'd like to point out to you. We did receive from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers their jurisdictional determination. There we go. There's the black and white version. That works. I'll just quickly highlight. So, as we mentioned here, the lots that were proposed in this area, as you can see on the plan, have now been eliminated. So this results in all of the frontage that we've talked about that will be maintained, and the retainage of the vegetation. The two access points here is where we're adding the sidewalk there for the continuity. So as you can see here, the vast amount of green space that is being preserved in this area, especially around the wetland area, which leads to where I was. The wetland, that delineation has been verified by the Corps of Engineers. So as it is mapped on these plans, it is the jurisdictional limits. This plan proposes no disturbance to the wetlands or to the stream corridor that runs south to north through that property. Another important thing that we accomplished over the past month, we did consult with Clark Patterson, the town's traffic consultant, through a consultation with Labella. And they did establish a scope for a traffic study, a localized study that would look at the intersections at Cork, Chapel Hill, and School Street. We've engaged a traffic consultant. That study is underway. We should have those results by mid-month of November, which we would provide to you. One other thing we did do, though, as it relates to traffic, is that we did update the projected peak hour trips as a result in the reduction of density, and also the fact that this project is going to represent a total townhouse development. The peak hour trips are anticipated during the AM peak hour to be 49 trips at that hour and 60 trips at the PM peak hour. And why those two values are important is both Ontario County and the State Department of Transportation, along with the DEC's Environmental Assessment Form workbooks, have established thresholds. And the EAF workbook basically states that it is anticipated projects that do not generate up to 100 peak hour trips would likely not have a significant impact on traffic. But with that being said, we still have commissioned the study to be done to provide that information. But all empirical data and historical data suggests that that there should not be a significant impact from traffic here. And as I said, I think the most important thing as it relates to traffic is we've addressed the site distance concern by eliminating the driveway at the western end of the property. What we did do because of these changes, we did provide you an updated Part 1 EAF to reflect the reduction in density, to reflect the increase in green space. Also, by increasing green space, we reduced the amount of vegetation to be removed with this proposal, so the EAF reflects that. And we updated the calculations on trip generation that I just referenced, and also utility demands. The other thing we did provide for the town's benefit is we did go through Part 2 of the EAF and do an analysis of the impacts using the DEC's Environmental Assessment Form workbooks. Those workbooks provide thresholds that you review to determine the potential for no to small impact versus moderate to large impact. The analysis, in our opinion, shows that the project does not exceed any of the thresholds that are established within those workbooks as it relates to moderate to large impacts. And in fact, it reveals two areas where actually the project benefits, and one being that we are enhancing the pedestrian network in the area, as we've previously referenced, and also as it relates to community goals, is that we actually advance goals of the comprehensive plan. And as we mentioned to you last month, there is a goal within your comprehensive plan that talks about higher density infill or redevelopment along with or within some segments of the commercial and light industrial corridors should be authorized. And so that's a goal that we believe this plan advances. That's a summary of, I think, of the work we've done over the past month. I'm now going to turn it over to Jeff Morrell, who's briefly going to address a couple of other issues that were raised during the last public hearing.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Jeff Morrell with Morrell Builders, and there were just a couple of questions that I saw come up on repeat a few times, and that was specifically the public's trying to understand what the relationship was with the existing light industrial part of the project, as well as the Pridemark and Morrell relationship in the context of this project. So the first is, for those who probably don't know, Pridemark and Morrell have been doing joint projects in Victor for nearly 20 years. We are actually co-located in the Indy building just up the street. We both co-own that organization, and we do a number of projects throughout Rochester in joint, specifically when it comes to interests of diverse housing like this, and providing capital requirements to make the project successful. If people are familiar with the Somerset Hill project, we did a full homeorama there and over 80 homes right up on High Street. That is the exact same project that we anticipate taking place with regard to the partnership here. And we've been working alongside each other, as I mentioned, for nearly 20 years now. We're both local to the community, and we really look forward to bringing all of the same crews, all of the same details, and all of the same quality that this community expects as we move forward. So we will be developing this in that vein, and I just wanted to set the record straight as far as why both names were on the application. Second is the light industrial. There was some confusion as to why the light industrial was included in this application. Light industrial is there just because it's a pre-existing use. All of the land currently is under one tax parcel, and Buckingham owns and retains that in its entirety. The current occupant in the light industrial facility is under lease all the way up until August of 2027, and basically is looking to maintain themselves within that facility. And the way the zoning takes place is ultimately on the conclusion of this, assuming that we are successful in completing this project, completing this process, the light industrial will simply be subdivided off and retain within Buckingham's ownership, and that current tenant will stay as part of their lease arrangement. We will, as an organization, close and transfer title on the remaining residential lands and move forward with the construction of the project. So it's really a simple two-step process. You don't subdivide that parcel out prior to having your approvals. You subdivide that parcel out post your approvals, and we would then close on the property and move forward. Basically, if this project were not to move forward, Buckingham would simply retain it and continue their light industrial progression on the land. And I think that's what I'm hoping everybody agrees on as we move through the rezoning, that the more appropriate use of this property is not more in light industrial facilities. It's a lesser impact residential application that meets comprehensive plan goals. So I just wanted to clarify that long term. We're incredibly excited about this, getting this started hopefully in the next year as we mobilize on it, and making sure that the public knows that we're completely committed to the quality and the reputation that we've had in the town of Victor. And I'll be personally overseeing the project in its entirety from beginning to end. So hopefully that helps clarify that last issue, and I hope the public can comment further on the adjustments that we've been able to make, because we hope that we've been able to really address a lot of the public's concerns.
Thank you, Peter and Jeff, and appreciate the overview as well as the clarification on a number of great points made at our last public hearing. So at this time, we'll take public comment. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the clerk for her record, and then certainly we'd like you to keep your time frame to a 3-minute overview. Thank you.
Yes, Randy Shea, 50 West Main Street, Victor, New York. I've been involved as a citizen for a long time now, over 20 years, with things like traffic and what we should do as a community and the strategic planning we all did. Hundreds of us got together and came up with what we thought to be the priorities, and then it went into the comprehensive plan. And I want to say first, I'm very impressed with BME and Morel Builders, and most of the developers around here. They do a lot of work to try to come up with stuff. I'm disappointed, though, with the town and the town planning. They seem to have ignored, in fact, they're even talking about amending the comprehensive plan. That took a long time to get put in place. Maybe it's only been in place since 2018, and people say it's outdated already. but we still don't have a solution to the traffic. Now, at one point in time, the town supervisor and I were on opposite sides. He was saying there was no problem with the traffic, and now we're on the same side. I've been saying for 20 years now that if you keep developing without a solid infrastructure plan, including the highways, you're going to end up with more and more problems. That will not land on the backs of the developers and the banks and everybody who makes their money and then leaves town. Not to say everybody's going to leave town. I know you're local. But the point is that the taxpayers are going to have to pay for a lot of infrastructure cost for all this development that continues to happen. So my comments have more to do with a macro view of this. I don't know still to this date, I know I suggested it to Labella, that there would be a short little road in between 251 over to Rawson that would make that little zigzag up Cork and up and around. You just go straight through there. I've only found out informally that somebody said somebody used to dump stuff in that area and nobody wants to dig that up. Now, if that's true or it's not true, I don't know. Maybe I'm rumor mongering. All I can say is I don't understand, because it looks like a straight shot that would improve the traffic flow. The parallel route of taking out the railroad may also be a great option, but I really don't think that the town has taken the community seriously. You wasted a lot of our time to come forward and get involved in years ago. I got so frustrated I just left out. Some people around here think I'm a hothead, but it's because sometimes you get righteously angry about things, and when you try to express yourself in 3 minutes, you just don't have enough time. And then I try to talk to people in private meetings, and they tell me one thing, and then they do a different thing, and that frustrates me. I'm not really happy with one person in particular who's probably going to get reelected as town supervisor, the way he's decided to do things. And that's what I had to say.
I thank you.
David Wright, 33 Ketchum Street in the Village of Victor. I'm very pleased to see access to the Auburn Trail. As some of you know, I'm the chairman of Victor Hiking Trails, and we always want to encourage residents to have access to our trails, and so that's a very plus. And I'm also happy to see sidewalks, because that's another means of getting pedestrians safely into the village. And that's one of our goals, is to revitalize the village and get more people to come to the village. So I see this as an improvement over light industrial. That could be developed into more warehouses, factories, all kinds of things that would bring trucks to the village, which I don't think we want. So I see that as a positive project.
Thank you.
My name is Bruce Trojan. I live at 1164 Wellington Drive, and I just have a little different concept of this whole project. And what I did is a cut and paste. And I have some extra copies, but it's just as easy to look at these. If you flipped that around, if you took the street and just flipped it over, okay, put the retention pond next to the industrial building, I think it solves a couple of things, and I was glad to hear that they took the street out up at the top of the hill. But if you were to do that and think about it, you would increase the line of sight if you were traveling west on Rawson from the village. I think it would be safer than what the plan is now. Also, I think that somebody along the line, you guys, the town, the planning board, a state guy or whatever, is going to say, we have 4 streets coming together here. Let's or two streets coming into one. Let's put a stop sign there, and I think I can speak for everybody in the room. Nobody wants a stop sign on Rawson Road there. So if you flip that over, you could offset those two streets that go into Rawson Road and basically solve that issue. The retention pond, if it was nearest the factory building, it would move the whole townhomes away from that. And I'm just thinking, if I were out looking for a place and it was looking at the side of an industrial building, I'm thinking that it might actually, if you get them farther away, increase the selling value of those places that face that way. Now, all that being said, I'm not an engineer. I don't know what that would involve. I don't know what it would cost. Yes, you'd have to move a lot of dirt that you put there, but you're going to be moving dirt anyhow, and you got bulldozers, so I don't see a big problem there. Other than that, just an idea, just a different concept. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Darrell Russell, Durham Court. First of all, I just, compliment the changes that were made. The things that I had related to and appreciated was the increased setback from Rawson Road with the opportunity of more trees and vegetation there, creating a visual separation of the development from other places there. So that was very nice. Also, I'm still not sure, well, let me back up. Up on Drumlins too, we continue to deal with where does the snow go when they plow. These are private roads up there, and I think the roads here are private roads also. And I'm still not sure where the snow is going to go, and it's going to create some unhappy residents. Yes, I do see the parking lots there, but I don't think you want to put snow into the parking lots. There are some other open areas that may serve as a place for the snow, but, certainly consider the snow and where it's going. I appreciate going from the 5 units to 4 units. I'm still trying to visualize how this will appear compared with the townhomes in Durham, the townhomes up above on up the hill, and also the homes along Burlington. It'd be nice to see a rendering from a street view of what the street would look like with the homes there and the units there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Marcia Sengas, 1231 Wellington Drive. First of all, I would very much like to thank Jeff publicly. He reached out to me, and we had a wonderful conversation. I appreciated so much his concern about the neighborhood. And I know he's done that in other neighborhoods, and I'm fully aware of his sincere appreciation for what goes on in the neighborhood. And we covered a lot of ground, and I thank him for that time and kind of helping me to better understand. I had concerns about trying to understand just where the warehouse fit in, and also just what road Pride Mark. It just seemed like it wasn't being covered, and it wasn't like a big secret, but people were saying to me, why are we not hearing that? So I appreciate Jeff's relationship. We've come a long way, and I think there's nobody in the room who said they don't want this. People in the Drumlins would love to have neighbors across the street. And I think we're getting really close to what looks like it would be just a nice part of Rawson Road. I had one tiny little question to maybe ask, and maybe this is not the place, but I read through part 1 and part 2 of the environmental assessment form, and I just had a question here regarding the hours of operation, because I thought when the Morel and Pride Mart had come before the board regarding bringing the fill in, that the hours were adjusted other than what were for the code here in town. I tried to contact the code enforcement officer today, but we didn't connect. In the environmental assessment form on page 7, what they're proposing are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it was my understanding, I thought, could be mistaken, that those got adjusted to not starting till 8. I don't think they went till 7 p.m. at night. And I don't believe that there were Saturday hours. So that was just something to look down the road to. I don't know if that's something that can be adjusted at this level or just what. Look forward to hearing what the town board says. And thank you for all the consideration and patience that you've been with me over the times we've met. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public?
I have a sinus infection, so I wear the mask for your protection. I have a few questions to ask. I took a ride a week ago to Piper Meadows. That's off Highland Drive. And I was opposed to the development in the beginning. I didn't see the reason why we had to disturb that property. But given that, it's really nice. The townhomes there, they're duplexes. There are 11 of them, I believe. And you drive down, and it's like you're in a world of your own. And on the other side, there are the single-family homes. I think there are about 39 homes altogether. I'm just curious, why is 59 homes here the proposed amount? Why wouldn't it be 48? I was, instead of having 4 units, 3 units, wouldn't it be a lot nicer to have just 3 units put together? There would be savings for the builder. There would be savings for the people who invest in the community. And it would open it up and make a better quality of life, I think. And it would mirror the other areas like Drumlins 1, Drumlins 2. If fewer homes could be built up in Piper, why can't it be built here? And I think it's an easier build because everything seems to be flat. All the fill has been brought in. There are no hills, there are no gullies. It's flat. I have another question. The pump station. I was told, I thought I might have misunderstood that this was for stormwater. Now, I have a feeling I read also the AEF form, and I guess it's for sewage. How many projects in Victor would you know, if anybody would know, have their own private pump station for sewage? Is this going to be given over to the town to maintain, or is it going to be part of the association that is going to be within this project? Will Labella be supervising anything here? They're our town engineer. Is the town willing to take over something like this and maintain it? It just seems like it's sewage. You have to have a backup, I suppose, generator. It's a smaller station, and I just ask the quality of the pump to bring it up to the regular trunk line, is that the same quality as you would have in any of the other pump stations around town? And I guess there are a few other things, but I can save that for some other time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. The board's pleasure, well, actually, Peter, you mentioned traffic data. We wouldn't see that till mid-November, is that?
That's the delivery date that the traffic consultant has told us.
Okay. So, my question to the board, would you like to keep this public hearing open until you have an opportunity to review the traffic data? Or you care to close the public hearing?
I think we should wait.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts.
We're going to wait then, okay?
Okay. Based on your opening comments, hopefully we'll be able to come at what would be your first in-person meeting in November, but the second meeting in November. That would be our goal.
yeah.
As soon as we have that, we'll turn it into you.
And did you get a copy of this gentleman's?
No, we did not. We'll get it from Karen. We can just email it to us. That's fine. Okay. I guess I would, if I could ask a question of the board, acknowledging we'll be coming back. If there's any outstanding items that we did not address this evening, that we should take this opportunity over these next couple of weeks to
I
make
think
sure
you're
we
moving in
have.
the right direction, as far as I'm concerned.
I know that I had made a handful of comments last time, primarily as a result of the line of sight, setbacks. I think, in my personal opinion, I live very nearby, I use this road daily. I would far prefer to see a residential development than a light industrial development. I ultimately think, from learning from some of the traffic studies that we've done around town since I've been with the board, that light industrial, while there's maybe a perception that the traffic doesn't create the traffic, at the peak flow times, it actually increases the traffic pretty dramatically. So I think from a traffic perspective, the residential is going to be a better fit for the character of the neighborhood as well. I think the theme of the conversation and the public comments that were made, especially from local residents that live across the street, essentially, as I captured it, said, we think that this is a good fit, we just don't like some of the characteristics of this. But ultimately, we agree that something should go there. I tend to agree with that, and I think, at least to the comments that I had made last time, you've more than sufficiently amended this to make me feel comfortable and feeling that we're in the right direction. And I think, as a developer, I think you guys should be commended for really dramatically changing this to meet a lot of the comments that were made. So I would thank you from my perspective.
Thank you.
Peter, I would also offer up this bigger sketch. I mean, that is really tough for anybody to see, on the sketch. And if you want to set this up on the table out in the hallway, people could take a closer look at it on their way out if they want to look at it.
We have a copy,
Have you got
so
a bigger
you can
sketch?
hang on to
You
yours.
put
I have
that
a
out there.
copy
I'd
here.
set it on the table out there and
Sure.
have people take a look at it.
I think, Peter, you guys did a great job in coming back, and you addressed every single thing, and in a very positive form. I think you gave in to everything, basically. I don't share the concern maybe on the traffic that some of the other guys do, but I hope it doesn't drag it out any further than it needs to. And I'm sure that they're going to come back within the tolerances of what are required, but on the other hand, it's safer
right.
public-wise to see it in writing. But you guys did a great job in addressing everything that came up in the past, and my biggest concern was the hill and the houses, and once they're gone, I'm extremely happy. So, not that I wanted it to go, but I just didn't think it fit. So I think that and what you've done with the setback was more than was asked for. So I commend you guys for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're satisfied. We're moving in the right direction for sure.
Very good.
And again, gentlemen took the time, just take a look, you never know.
Yep.
Geographically, I mean, with the way the land lays, I don't know if the pond, but certainly being a good neighbor, as he is, that I was trying to sell that piece, maybe that's not, just look out my back door. The other thing, as far as pump stations, the town takes dedication of all pump stations. We would never turn a pump station over to the responsibility of a homeowners association, because sewage that runs through this town is a daisy chain, and God forbid someone's not
Right.
doing their part on the daisy chain, it could be an ugly, ugly mess, so we'll leave it at that.
All right. Thank you very much for your.
Just I have a couple,
Yeah.
Peter, when you submit the traffic study, can you maybe submit some responses to the questions that came up tonight?
Yes.
Wes, how are we treating this per seeker?
So as I recall, I'll double check with Kim. In the way the town code states, we were going to separate the seeker reviews of the rezoning versus the site plan review.
Correct,
And,
but how are we treating the rezoning? Is it a type 1 or unlisted?
Yes. Yes, no, it's type 1
yeah.
because
Okay.
we're over 10
Yep,
acres.
Correct.
and
So have we sent out lead agency notice letters?
That was done back, I
Yes.
think, in May or June.
Yes,
Okay,
we had.
so
We
then-
came here, yes.
But you
Yes.
now have submitted a revised EAF?
Mhm.
So we probably should submit copies of the revised EAF to those involved agencies. But our 30 days have come and gone. There's been no objections, right?
Correct.
Okay. But we should probably submit copies of this to the,
Okay.
you've done that already.
We have not, but I would agree that that be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. We'll get that done with Kim. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your time this
Peter?
evening.
Jeff, Jim? Okay, next we have public hearing number 3, the town budget for 2024. And we'll ask the town clerk to please read that public hearing notice. Susie, everything good over there now? Find out. Here we are.
The notice of public hearing for the proposed 2024 Town of Victor budget, scheduled for the 23rd day of October 2023 at 7 p.m., was published in the Daily Messenger newspaper on October 14th, and a copy of this public hearing notice is available for public inspection during regular business hours in the town clerk's office.
Thank you, Karen. And at this time, I'm going to ask the Director of Finance for the Town of Victor, Rich O'Donnell, to come to the podium and give an overview of what we've been working on the last couple of months.
Good evening. Again, I'm Rich O'Donnell, the Finance Director here for the Town of Victor. And what I want to do tonight is go over our budget highlights, kind of how we, as a group, went through the process. We started back in July, and we got to this point. So during the initial phases in late June, or late July, early August, we met with each of the departments within the town. And during those meetings, we asked them to review their current budgets for the current year of 2023, where they stand, where they look to finish the year out, and then we discussed the 2024 budget. At that point, we roll those budgets all into the different areas. And then we have our three workshops within the board meetings. So we came up with a total budget for 2023 of $16.3 million. That's a little over a 5% increase over 2023. And the major components of the revenue that we look to do is certainly sales tax. And when we look at estimating sales tax, we try to be very conservative with most of our revenue items. Sales tax, we look at a 5-year average, and it came up to $6.6 million for 2024. That's divided into each of the funds to make those whole. And one of the things that we look to do is maybe not rely so much on sales tax. So for this year, sales tax only represents 40% of our revenue for the year versus last year was 43. So how we get there? Our town departments, the revenue that they generate, that would be the building department from the revenue from permits and new homes, the Parks and Recs department from the park fees and the recreation fees. And it's good to report on that end that the rec department, I think, is back to pre-COVID levels. So most of the programs are well attended. The rec program up this summer, I think, had record numbers. So the revenue for the recs department is very strong. And the recycle department, we continually to increase our number of permits very steady over the years for the residents that take advantage of the recycling department. One of the bigger revenue generators this year for us is the interest that we earn on the reserves that we have. Last year at this time, I think interest rates were probably 0.25% to 0.5%, and now we're looking at over 5%. So with the reserves that we do have in place, we're earning some nice interest on that. And what we do with the interest is we reinvest the interest. So we're making the interest on the interest that helps us really build up the reserves for future needs. The only really decline we're going to see in revenue this year is probably from the mortgage tax. And the town has been very lucky over the years. We've had significant growth, and with when interest rates were so low, a lot of refinancing, so that really funded our mortgage tax that we got in. It's anticipated now with the increase in the rates, the inventory for the houses that are on the market, that 2024 we're going to see a decline in mortgage tax. So we did lower that from $600,000 last year, which we should meet this year, to $400,000 for next year. On the expense item sides, we're still seeing, like everyone, the effects that inflation have. Higher expenses, utilities, insurance, healthcare, benefits, just normal day-to-day costs that the town needs to operate. And we've been really monitoring our expenses at a really tight level the last couple of years since I've been doing this, and our different departments do an excellent job in managing expenses, and we're still way under budget for expenses just because they do such a good job at monitoring, at getting the best price possible, and only spending where we need to spend. There's not a lot of frivolous spending in any of the departments. One of the areas we're able to set aside in this budget too as an appropriation is to set some money aside for improvements in buildings and grounds and land acquisitions. As we look to the future, we know one of the big items that we're going to look at is a possible highway department. So we're able to save some money aside in this year's budget to be put towards that. And over the last couple of years, at the end of the year, we use what they call the unassigned fund balances, which is the excess revenue over expenses. And we've been putting that aside also in reserves to help fund possible upcoming costs for the highway department. Another expense item we've seen a significant increase is the electric. And as you'll see, we have some street lighting districts within the town. There's 8 of them. And our contract's just coming up due now. Unfortunately, we had a nice 3-year contract that this year it looks like the rate's going to go up by about 66%. So the homeowners will see a little increase in the rates for the street lighting districts, but between some fund balances that we have, and there's a program I'm working with RG&E is to replace our current fixtures in the street lightings with LED lights, which could save, they're telling us anywhere between 60 and 80% in the supply cost of the electric. So we may see a little uptick for the street lightings for this year, but for future costs, we're going to see a significant downturn in those areas. Part of the budget, as we all go through one of the workshops, is we look at the capital plans for each of the departments. And those are mainly the highway department, parks and recs. We have a building capital plan, town hall, which includes courts, which is another building of ours. And each of the departments, there's anywhere between a 10-year and a 25-year plan, looking at equipment that they have, vehicles that they have, fixtures within the different buildings. And we look at those very closely every year because the cost of, the vehicles the highway use, significantly increase over the years. And on top of that is the lead time to get some of these. So we're always juggling the plans to meet what we need and the availability of the plan. And what actually the trade-in values have been super strong for much of the stuff we've turned in, which has helped out the plans a lot. And part of as I discussed, the highway fund that we're looking to, or the highway building looking to do, a couple things we're looking to do. The town actually has a very wealth of talent in the way of helping us to offset some of the costs of the highway department. So a lot of the highway guys, we could be looking to help us with site work and so forth, and some of the, putting together some of the infrastructures for the town to keep the costs low. And we're actively seeking a bunch of grants that are out there that could help us fund these different parts of the building. So our thought is to, as a board, is to save as much money in reserves as we can, use as much resources internally to keep the costs low. So when we look to get approval for the buildings, we can have a good down payment, or so we don't have to borrow a lot of money that would significantly increase the tax burden on their residents. Couple other, we have sewer and water districts, and we have capital plans for them as well. There are 5 to 10-year plans in place for them, which are funded by current tax levies for each of those. We actively apply for grants for those, but we have funds in place to pay for the upgrades to the pump stations and the water as we go along. So pretty much in conclusion, the town's in a super strong position financially. We recently had what they call a stress test done on our finances for the town, and we don't have any stress. Can't say that's for me, but the town's finances are not stressful. So I think when we all put this together, we're super conservative in our revenue and really tight on expenses, which, is a good thing for a budget going forward. And really the tax levy went up just a little bit, but I think with the new houses that have come into the town, I don't think the tax rate probably is going to stay the same, or might even tick down a little bit. So it'll be any increase, people are probably going to see a little decrease in their taxes, so. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you, Rich. Job well done by you and your staff and the finance department, as well as certainly all the department heads. We really appreciate their efforts as well. You certainly hit all the high spots, review of this year as well. I just want to mention a couple things. I know the parking lot expansion, we spoke about it a year ago at Trier Road in Victor Municipal Park. Those expansions for the parking lots have been completed. We have done, Lobello Associates did an evaluation of Victor Municipal Park, the entrance road. We know it needs to be repaired. We're hoping to possibly do that in-house. We have not budgeted that funds for 2024. For the residents and certainly the board members. First time since 2010, we've seen a double-digit increase in healthcare at 11.9%. New York State retirement went up 13%. As Rich mentioned, we continue to invest in our highway, roads, repairs, and capital projects to the tune of $1.95 We made a commitment 5 years ago to allocate $2 million per year for our roads, and we continue to do that with the efforts of the highway superintendent and his department. In addition, vehicle and equipment upgrades to the tune of $560,000, which is again, follows the capital plan from an expenditure standpoint. Sewer upgrades, again, multiple pump stations and emergency generators. And funding reserves, Rich mentioned the capital purchase of some land, hopefully by the end of this calendar year. Future highway building, we are dedicating in this budget $500,000 for that reserve. And the town will maintain our annual contributions to the Victor Farmington ambulance at $250,000. The assessed value for the town historically is 100%. We are currently at, as of September the 13th, New York State notified us that we are currently at 79%. So that's all I have. Board members, have you any questions for Rich before he takes a seat? Okay. At this,
Just wanted to thank the board and all the employees here within the town, helped me put this together. It certainly is a team effort, so thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Rich.
at this time, we'll take any public comment regarding the 2024 town budget.
David Wright, 33 Ketchum Street in the Village of Victor. Also chairman of Victor Hiking Trails. Victor Hiking Trails is an all-volunteer organization dedicated to creating and maintaining a system of shared-use trails in the town of Victor for the use of the residents and the general public. Victor Hiking Trails relies on membership dues, donations, and grants to function. We all know that there are many positive benefits by having trails in your community. When we started back in 1991, the town had one park and maybe 1 mile of trail in that park, and it was maintained by the water department because there was no Parks and Recreation department in Victor at that time. They had a summer recreation program, but no full-time Parks and Recreation department. Victor Hiking Trails had a used push mower and some hand tools to create and maintain trails in Victor. And our trail boss at the time was Larry Fisher. He kept all that equipment in his garage, and he was trail boss for 23 years. Over the years, the town has acquired parkland and trails. Victor Hiking Trails has asked landowners for permission to use their land for trails, so that now the town has over 70 miles of hiking and biking trails open to the public. In order to maintain these trails on private lands, Victor Hiking Trails has purchased heavy-duty walk-behind brush cutting mowers, gas-powered hedge trimmers, string trimmers, chainsaws, leaf blowers, a trailer to haul everything, and many hand tools. We can no longer ask our trail boss to keep all this equipment in his garage. We have looked at the cost of building a garage to store the equipment. Our annual funds won't support that cost. We have searched the town for empty barns or garages where we could store the equipment, but to no avail. We have looked at renting or purchasing a metal shipping container and a place to locate it. We have determined that the best short-term solution is to rent a storage unit in the Village of Victor for approximately 6 to 9 months. Victor Hiking Trails, in the meantime, will apply for more grants and possibly host a fundraiser to be able to afford a long-term solution. We have a great working partnership with the town of Victor and sincerely appreciate all the past support, especially from Director Brian Emelson of the Parks and Recreation Department. We are asking the town to help us with our immediate problem by paying the rent for a storage unit beginning December 1st this year. The first 3 months are half price. They're only $125 a month. So December would be $125. After the first 3 months, it's $249 a month. I'd like you to consider this and appreciate everything that you have done for us. And if you have any questions, comments, I'd appreciate it.
Any other members of the public care to speak for or against the 2024 town budget?
Lisa Roberts, Wellington Drive in the Village Victor. You know me from the Parks and Rec Citizens Advisory Committee. I'm also a member and an officer in Victor Hiking Trails. So I thought this was a good opportunity to remind you of the 2019 Parks and Rec Master Plan that was adopted by the board. And a few things in there that relate directly to the need for Victor Hiking Trails to grow over time. Goal number 3 of that plan was to increase connectivity within the town and with adjacent communities, and to expand the region's largest trail system and provide additional trails and pedestrian and bicycling connections that link key recreation and community elements. And to strive to provide a recreation amenity within a 15-minute walk or approximately 1 mile walk from all areas of the town. And when the master plan was being developed, we had multiple community outreach events, and we came up with 3 priority projects. And priority project number 2 was townwide connectivity. A community interest survey conducted identified connectivity and additional trails is one of the primary goals and is strongly supported by all residents. So in order to make this plan viable, Victor Hiking Trails not only needs a solution for December of 2023 and going into 2024, but I feel that we need a 5-year plan. I know there has been talk about a new highway department, possibly being the home of Victor Hiking Trails equipment, and I would like to strongly encourage this board, when they're planning a new highway department, to plan adequate space for a growing Victor Hiking Trails array of equipment, because if we continue to grow, as the community wants us to, we're going to need more space for equipment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public here to speak for or against the 2024 budget?
Randy Shea, 50 West Main Street, Victor, New York. I just wanted to compliment Richard O'Donnell. He is just wide open to any conversation about the budget and even other things. I've enjoyed the time that I went up and talked with him. He took a suggestion of mine to put more information online to be available for the public, and using pie charts and things like that makes it a lot easier sort of to understand things. Communication about the budget, what goes on with taxes. Of course, we've got the town tax assessor that has a very difficult job in how she goes about doing her work. The better people are educated right now about the budget process, the better off we'll all be. So that when maybe one taxing entity, maybe the school or the library, all of a sudden the bill goes way up because they increased their rates, because assessments go up, and everybody points to the town assessor. It really isn't her. She has a hard job to do. She takes a lot of input from all the different taxing entities. And I talked to Richard about the fact that the town should really do a better job of trying to reach out to the public and educate people on these issues right now, especially with the equalization rate, which Jack alluded to. By the way, the equalization rate for some counties in New York State is only at 14%. There's no legal requirement for the town to increase assessments just to meet that. There may be some benefits to consider as to why you might want to change the assessments, but I'm a little worried about that because the people that came in when the mortgage rates were low and they bought houses that they wouldn't have been able to buy before, bought them at a lot higher prices. And if you increase the assessments, it won't be on those people. It will be on the people that are more on fixed incomes and the older houses in the community that may not be able to continue to live in their house, which is what they would like to do. So as you think about all that, I would just say don't rush into thinking you need to reassess this year. We don't have to reach up to the equalization rate, and if you can do that, then as far as other taxing entities, they should be able to put out their budgets. If they want an increase, it's a lot easier for us to all understand that you guys are asking for 5%, this one's asking for 10%. Well, this one's not asking for anything, because it's very easy for people to get confused if you guys raise assessments and then the school, for instance, says, oh yeah, we lowered the rate by 10%, but people's assessments went up 20%. That's really just a tax increase. But you won't know it until you see your tax bill. So I just think that the reason I'm up here talking about that is I have seen it in the past where, because there wasn't a lot of really good communication before a reassessment, that there was a lot more challenges that did need to happen. And so as far as the budget, kudos to you, Richard, and heading that up this year. And it was very nice to be able to just come into the town hall without having to get special permission, which that was a joke, but I won't go into that. Have a good day.
Any other members of the public? Okay, close this public hearing and ask the clerk to please read public hearing number 4.
Notice of public hearing for the Town of Victor 2023 special assessment rolls to collect district capital recovery charges, sewer district capital improvement cost, lighting district's operation and maintenance costs, and central water district capital improvement cost based on benefit formulas, scheduled for the 23rd day of October 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Victor Town Hall, was published and posted in the Daily Messenger newspaper on October 13th, and a copy was also posted on the signboard of the Town Hall, Village Hall, and our website.
Karen? Okay. At this time, we'll ask if there's any members of the public care to speak regarding the 2023 special assessment rolls for sewer, water, and lighting districts. Again, we'll ask if there's any members of the public care to speak for or against the special 2023 special assessment roll. Hearing no speakers, close this. Need a motion to...
So moved.
Second.
You. All those in favor?
Aye.
Board members, for your consideration, meeting minutes from the October 10th town board meeting.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, this is the budget workshop and regular meeting, correct, yeah. Okay. Manifest number 20, ask our town clerk to please introduce that.
Manifest number 20 in the amount of $239,504.80 has been reviewed by the Victor Town Board with the following accounts charged: General Townwide, General Outside Village, Parkland Trust Fund, Highway Townwide, S&S Consolidated Sewer Fund, and Trust and Agency.
Thank you, Karen. So expenditures that are in the range of or exceed $5,000. Payment number 1 is to Harris Beach for September legal services. There are chargebacks of $10,972.56. Payment number 2 to Heidelberg Materials for town projects. Number 3 is Hometown Energy, unleaded fuel purchased during the month of September. Payment to Integrated Systems for license and renewal and support hours. Payment to Lobella Associates Professional Services for both the months of August and September combined. And chargeback to developers are also included this with a total cost to the town of $50,670. Purchase of diesel fuel from NOCO Energy for the month of September. Payment to New York State Comptroller's Office for September court fees collected. And payment to Seneca Paving for materials for town road projects. And the total of the above-mentioned expenditures is $159,678.94. Total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $79,825.86. Board members, do you have any questions on this evening's abstract?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have no request for privilege of the floor this evening. Moving to the public comment and concerns,
Privilege of the floor?
period.
You have that tonight or not?
Public comments.
Public comments? Oh, okay. All right, sorry. I didn't mean that.
You can speak. It's
Yeah.
public comments.
Okay.
We had no one under privilege of the floor.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I jumped ahead there. Okay, so the reason I came tonight was I was going to talk about the equalization rate, but it fit in with the budget. The other thing I wanted to say is that there's been enough discussion and things in the past and things I was able to find online for me to understand that if it hasn't happened already, because I don't have time to know everything that's going on, but moving ahead with the Parks and Recreation building, having that rather than renting makes a lot of sense. Moving ahead with capital project at the town barns sooner rather than later. But actually, what I wanted to suggest before you guys even did all that is at least look at the town organizational chart and consider getting a Department of Public Works like most municipalities have. I was in the U.S. military, and I also was in college and business, and organizational charts are a key instrument in trying to understand how it works. So from the top down in the town, I've got it here somewhere. I don't know if I'm going to get more than 3 minutes. Oh yeah, I recommend changing that rule to 5 minutes. You don't usually have enough people to worry about a long meeting, so if you guys could consider that too. Change it to 5 minutes and do 3 minutes if you have like an overflow crowd or something, because 3 minutes just isn't enough. All right, well, anyway, yeah, here it is, organizational chart. So I don't know how many of you have looked at it recently, but the first thing that I see, I looked at the village organizational chart and the town. And the town says that the top block there is the town supervisor. In the village, it says it's the village mayor and the board of trustees. In this organizational chart, it doesn't mention the councilman also having a role. And so maybe it's a small detail, but Jack is not the only one who makes the decisions and runs the show here, so I thought that might be a good change. Figuring out how to do it would require some work. It also probably would make some people nervous as to how it all would happen. I would hope nobody would lose any jobs. There would be one new position. But by doing it, see, you can share resources with Parks and Recreation and the Highway Department, and you can streamline decision-making if you have one head of Department of Public Works. They do it at the village level. I am so impressed with John Turner. To some extent, the board members just say, go see John, because he understands what needs to happen and what they can do, what they can't do. He knows the schedule. But because he is the go-to person on a lot of things, it helps out a lot. So if you get the right person as the head of the Department of Public Works and you build your buildings maybe together or separately or whatever, then maybe you could even fit in some extra space for helping out Victor Hiking Trails in the building. But I don't know what all the plans are. I don't know. I haven't had enough time to research too much about what you guys are doing. I got a lot of stuff going on myself, but hopefully at least you can understand that the idea of looking at least reviewing the organizational chart, think about adding that position, because you're going to be building new buildings anyway, and it might make sense to kind of not combine the way that they're run, but combine the facilities and the way in which a Department of Public Works could probably allocate things in a more way that relates to how I was in the military. It makes sense. That's what I have to say on that. Let's see. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm way past my 3 minutes. I'll have to come back again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Mike? Mike, let's talk mass gathering for the winter event over at the Victor Hills that we've had 3 years now?
Going on year 4.
Okay. Now, any changes from past years? The board members, so usually from a timing standpoint, kind of a misstep here, so we don't have time for a public hearing, and again, so we got a hold of Maggie and Mike and asked them, they'd come in and just, if there's any changes from previously.
No, no changes, just a couple of new displays, but other than that, with regards to traffic flow and the route and any other precautions that we've always taken, there's no changes.
There's too much stone where I usually hit the ball up there for the gravel trails. I don't appreciate that in July.
Because you're hitting in the parking lot.
Exactly.
They call that a shank.
Exactly. So, Jack, are you saying that typically there should be a public hearing every year on this if they're going to do it?
For these mass gathering permits, the way I think, in my understanding, the way the is structured, need a public hearing, what the town clerk's office has shared with me. So, from a timing standpoint, you know what, this is our public hearing, without notice, I mean, big hand slap, so.
I have no issues.
There's no, again, that's why I was asking Mike if there's any change. Hours of operation,
5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, and you're starting this right after Thanksgiving?
Yep.
Running
Black
up?
Friday for the first 3 weekends, it's just Friday, Saturdays. And then right around I don't know what the date is off the top of my head, but right around the 12th to the 13th, we run straight through till Christmas Day. And then we're open one day following Christmas.
Maggie did send.
Correct. The application? I have a copy of it here if you want. But she sent it in as well.
Okay. Any objections?
No objections.
No.
I wasn't aware that it needed a hearing every year. We'll make sure that the application gets in a little sooner than.
So, in Karen's conversation with Maggie earlier today, and for yourself as well, this is something we really should start midsummer, so we're not
Under the
doing
gun.
this.
Yeah.
And again, the intention here, even to bring it, to have even this type of setting and conversation right now is because there was a situation that took place a year ago, not with you, with someone else trying to do something without going through the formal process as well, so.
Yep. I'll make sure it gets in earlier.
Okay, Karen, anything else? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? Okay, reports of town officials, board members in your packet. You have the highway superintendent's report. IT. Town clerk has a couple verbal items.
Board members, you received your preliminary budget that will go to the adopted budget once you approve the resolution tonight. I wanted to shout out to Mark and Keith for following up on the 1346 East Victor Road, Stephen, I don't know how to say it, Huronic or something, I'm not sure. But I sent you board members, I did send you emails, and it's an ongoing thing. I think Mark is still kind of overseeing it. I don't know, Mark, if you want to say a couple things.
Yeah, he sent me an email, I think it was the end of last week, just regarding what the discussion I had with the Monroe County Water Authority, so it's kind of the same conversation he's had. He responded back, and I just sent him a reply back that he might want to contact DigSafe just to see what they had done.
Has there been any resolve on that? Is the guy out, his own money? I mean, whose fault was it?
That's to be determined. It's been trying to figure that out. So he's saying it's Monroe County Water Authority when they replaced the curb box. But when I spoke with Monroe County, they said that they did not hit any of the utilities when they replaced it. So he hasn't really got any resolution, but he spent quite a bit of money replacing appliances and stuff when the service to his house was damaged.
Is there any way, I mean, how do you prove anything like that?
You can't really, at this point that I can see.
He said, she said?
Yeah, basically.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mark. Also, I wanted to give you an update on our code books. When I started here 5 years ago, we had 42 code books that, different departments, people had. So we were paying for all these supplements every time we have an increase or a local law or some, change in our code book, we have to pay for the supplements. So we cut it down to 19, and now we're down to 12. But in 2017, 18, and 19, we paid $8,000, a couple of times $8,000, $6,000. Now we're down to like $1,475, $1,200 for supplements, because what was happening is people were getting the supplements and not even updating their code books. So we have E-code on our computer, and it works great. I mean, if people can use it electronically, we're trying to save money that way, but it's a huge savings. Friday, the clerk's office, along with the assessor's office, we went to a Laserfish training in Gates. It was very informative. I think it really was an eye-opener that we're only using a tiny bit of the program. It's a lot, there's a lot it can do, so we're all looking forward to using that. Pittsford School collection, tax collection, currently only 3 are unpaid out of the 128 tax bills. We also still have the drop box for the Victor school taxes until October 31st. And we're gearing up for the town and county taxes. Joanne will be coming back in to help Brittany train, she's already taken off with the county program using the Pittsford, with the Pittsford school taxes, so we're looking forward to.
What does Gary, pick up the drop box once a day?
He does. A couple times I've brought him up there, but
Yeah.
not a couple times, he comes in the morning.
And it works, it's been working out well?
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you, Karen. I know David left the building, but, Brian and I have spoken. Rich has spoken as well, and I have a meeting with Brian later this week. This board has always been forever grateful to the Victor Hiking Trails and the efforts that all the individuals who've been involved with that. And as long as you continue to drink that youthful drink out there and keep yourselves young. But we know eventually that unless we get volunteers out of the woodwork, which, many groups are struggling with volunteers, would probably fall more and more responsibility on the town. So, with that said, I know myself, I can speak, I'm very grateful for everyone, their efforts. So, Brian, we're going to take a look at that. I've talked to the highway superintendent previously. I've talked to Brian as well, and the parks maintenance director, Jeff Rader. From a spacing standpoint in their current facilities, there is not any, but certainly we have, again, moving forward, what's this look like 5-10 years from now? From a volunteer standpoint, probably more responsibility on the town, and so from an area to store that, I see that falling more and more on the responsibility of the town. So, I do have a number of things here. Emergency Management Director interviews were held on October 12th. We had 7 qualified candidates out of the 19 who applied. We have selected a candidate. We're running through the process of the background checks and references right now. We expect to have an employment package offered soon, and tentative date to present to the Public Safety Committee on the 8th of November, followed by full board approval on the 16th, and hopefully we get this individual in place by the end of the calendar year. At the October 5th Board of Supervisors meeting, a resolution was passed to establish the Ontario County Emergency Communication Advisory Board. Jared Palmer, the CEO of the Victor Farmington Ambulance, is on this committee. Board of Supervisors also did a resolution of support for the direct pay reimbursement of ambulance services. Those unfamiliar with it, if you were to need an ambulance and then you had insurance, you're reimbursed directly to you rather than to the ambulance company. So some people are very good about taking that check and either endorsing it and sending it on to the ambulance corps or writing a check themselves out that they deposit in their own account. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. So ambulance companies end up chasing money, and that leads to certainly some of their budget deficiencies as well. Ontario County this coming Thursday will be doing a resolution to participate in Operation Greenlight. From November the 6th through the 11th, green lights will illuminate the Ontario County Courthouse and the Geneva office buildings. Operation Greenlight is a symbol of support for veterans. One of the goals is to raise awareness of the vital role the counties play in supporting veterans by shining a light on services available through the Veterans Service Office. Board members, I also shared with you and to all of our departments, because it affects so many of our departments, but also our entire community as a whole, was a letter from Eileen and Will Kukta regarding, after 35 years in our community, leaving it, but how much they were touched by places like the post office, our department buildings here, the school district, and just this overall community. Last Tuesday evening, the Fishers Fire District passed their 2024 budget, and they have a tax rate of $3.24, and that is that is up 6 cents. And the final item is the regionalization consolidation meetings regarding the Fishers Fire District, Mendon Fire District, and Honeoye Falls Fire District. Had another meeting this morning. I thought it was very positive. The village mayor from Honeoye was there, and it was important to get him there. The Mendon town supervisor has been very supportive of this initiative as well. And the final item before we move to the business section or ask the town board members if they have any comments would be the 6698 Richardson Road. Adam provided us with a couple scenarios. Our highway department is willing to knock this building over, but asbestos remains a concern for the highway superintendent and his staff. And as you can see, Adam has put together a couple different scenarios. So looking for some feedback. I know Councilman Cusimano, you had responded earlier today.
We have, Mark, is anybody in the highway department certified to be an asbestos handler?
No.
Because I believe the school district has 2 or 3 employees that are certified as asbestos handlers.
Okay.
Whether it's, just stuff that's wrapped around the pipes in the basement or whatever it is, it might be worth reaching out to the parks or the grounds crew up at school, finding out if we could contract those guys to help it could be something as easy as that. There might not be a lot of asbestos in there, but if they're certified as handlers, there's mitigation and then there's handlers. And I think the process of being a handler is much easier than, obviously mitigating asbestos. But the handlers, they go in there, they mask up, they go in their uniforms and take that stuff, bag it up, and then get rid of it, take it where it's supposed to go. But just a suggestion, that you might want to reach out.
Would you reach out to them for us, Mark?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No, I think just otherwise, if that's not an option for us, we gotta have somebody that knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
you know, to inspect that and see what's going on, because I wouldn't wanna put our people in harm's way. If
Right.
you start knocking it down and asbestos starts flying, I think that's the wrong move.
Okay. Thank you. More to follow, upcoming meeting. Board members, do you have any committees you'd like to care to report on? Okay, moving to business sections. First resolution is out of the Finance Department. This is amending Resolution 2022, 222 and 23. And again, this is just the clarification on the number of business names that on the final allocation.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, authorization for the highway superintendent to purchase portable radar signs.
So moved.
Second.
Casey and Mark, thank you for your efforts there. All those in favor?
Aye.
I know they'll put the good use. Thank you, unfortunately. Number 3, human resources, authorization to contract with Robex Consortium for critical illness.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 4 is contract to provide 2024 health care, and as I mentioned at the public hearing, this is the first double-digit increase we've had since 2010, but still nothing we like.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 5, authorization for the town of Victor to have membership of the Builders Exchange of Rochester for Robex Consortium.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this fee of $275, actually, the entry fee for FlimHit, our healthcare consortium, is $1,000, so $275 is a bargain. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, contract with Robex for dental consortium.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And number 7, contract with Aetna to provide 2024 retiree health insurance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Number 8, 2024 employee health care contribution rates.
Moved.
Okay,
Second.
we have a second by Councilman. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Number 9, fund the health care savings account for employees enrolled in the high deductible plans.
So moved.
So moved. I was happy, Jack, to see that if we do have an employee that has a serious health issue, that we can front-load that for that employee. I think that's a real important aspect of that HSA for our employees. I was really happy to see that.
Thank you for noticing that, appreciate it. Need a what?
All in favor?
Okay.
I hit 2 motions.
Second.
No, I got this.
Oh, you got that?
But we need it.
All in favor?
Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Stay in your lane. Number 10, acceptance of the resignation of Mike Crawley as Town of Victor representative for the Ontario County Planning Board and recommendation of Chris Mergler for the appointment to the Ontario County Planning Board. I did, Kim and I did meet with Chris. I'll tell you what, he's making a difference if you're heading out of the village, about halfway before you come to the roundabout on the left-hand side, the big house up on the hill that had did all that earthwork and put those big rocks up there. That's Chris's house. And again, we've been waiting for generators. He told us it took 15 months for that rocks to come in and stuff like that. But very vested, him and his wife, and he's already sat in on one of our Ontario County Planning Board meetings. So
Moved.
Second.
thank you. And do want to thank Mike Crawley for his time as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 11, Parks and Rec amending the Resolution 184, 2023 on Phase 1. And again, this has to do with the electrical service to be relocated. Actually, it's in they're putting it in a much better place.
So moved.
I'll second that, and I had spoken earlier before the meeting to understand a little bit why that motion was being made at this point, and it was explained very well, and I feel very comfortable with that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 12, the adoption of the 2024 budget.
So moved.
Second.
And again, as we did earlier, I want to thank Rich and the department heads for following the budget guidelines and the board members for your attendance at the workshop. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Budget is passed after public hearing for the 2023 special assessment roll. Entertain a motion to approve this.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution is passed. And public comment, again, excuse me.
14.
Authorization for Canandaigua National Bank. Boy, I don't want to get the.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
So moved. Ed?
Ed, second.
Second.
If you weren't so busy making notes about me making an error there. All those in favor?
Aye.
At this time, public comment, an opportunity for members of the public to address the town board. Okay, at this time, entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
A roll call is only for local.
Saying that God is doing
Every year I do.
Yeah.
You said that